Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sportsful Jersey. Joe Archino back here, and news kind of just hitting the wire as of a couple minutes ago. Mark Sanchez has been traded to the Denver Broncos from the Philadelphia Eagles for a conditional draft pick, and it's one of those things where right now there's no more greater pressure on any teams in the NFL than the Jets and the Broncos to figure out what they're doing at the quarterback position, because it's a unique position to be in, because a lot of times we see teams in a position where they just need help everywhere, especially a quarterback. But the Jets and Broncos rosters are really set except for the position that matters the most, and that is at quarterback, of course. Now, Mark Sanchez now comes into the Broncos situation, which solidifies things a bit. Clearly, I don't think anybody indicates or expects that this is going to be their starter at any point. Right now in the fold for them, it's still the possibility of Colin Kaepernick, but that would have to be a trade. And then, of course, Ryan Fitzpatrick. If I'm the Broncos, really, you've got to continue to look at this situation, and you've really got to watch out, because the Jets are playing a dangerous game, and the Broncos are playing a dangerous game, because the Colin Kaepernick trade thing is not a sure thing. I mean, I think Chip Kelly, when he came in right away, the faith was kind of reinstituted into Colin Kaepernick when Chip Kelly took that job. But now we look at the Jets, we look at the Broncos, and that Colin Kaepernick trade thing, it takes a lot more for that to happen. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, clearly, if you're the Broncos, you won last year, and it wasn't because of great quarterback play. You won because of a tremendous defense and great positional players around that quarterback to help him so you didn't have to do as much. Now, the Broncos have lost a lot of pieces so far in the offseason, so they're not going to be returning to his near strength. But you're trying to tell me that Ryan Fitzpatrick couldn't at least lead you to the playoffs with this current roster? He absolutely could, based on everything that we saw last season, based on the offensive talent there and the defensive talent that remains there. And once you get into the playoffs, you never know what is going to happen. It just comes down to getting hot, being healthy at the right time. You'll take that gamble every single time as long as you're going to get there. And I think Ryan Fitzpatrick has that ability to get them there. And clearly right now we're looking at the Jets, and they're really apparently are not budging on their position. But it comes to a point where the market dictates what you're worth. The market dictates that Ryan Fitzpatrick is probably going to have to be paid a little bit more than what he's worth. But quarterbacks like him are at a premium in the NFL, and it's one thing where your roster is so depleted of talent, then that's a rebuild job. That's you start from square one, you draft a quarterback, and you try to build for the future. But the Jets and Broncos rosters are in win-now positions, and because of that, you need a quarterback that can win now, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is that guy. And the Jets and the Broncos right now, again, they're playing that dangerous game because one of them gets Fitzpatrick, one of them doesn't. What are you left with? The Colin Kaepernick trade is not a sure thing. If that doesn't happen, if you're the Broncos and you and the Jets and Fitzpatrick, things work out and they're able to get him back, bring him back, then what do you have there in Denver? You got Mark Sanchez. You had Robert Griffin III come in and interview, but I don't think there's much of a difference between Robert Griffin III and Mark Sanchez at quarterback at this point. And really, a Mark Sanchez or a Robert Griffin are not good enough to take that roster to the playoffs. A Ryan Fitzpatrick is, but not a Mark Sanchez and not a Robert Griffin III. Say what you will about Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's not the most athletically gifted quarterback in the world, but he's a smart quarterback. And I will take that in the NFL because we saw what his football acumen can do, just understanding the game, doing things the right way. That stuff means a lot in the NFL, and sometimes you can overcome the physical limitations because of that. Peyton Manning certainly did it this season, and it's one thing where you know what works, and you consistently go to it, and that's one thing that Fitzpatrick did all season with Brandon Marshall, and of course with Eric Decker, the 1-2 wide receiver punch that he had there. He relied on that. He knew what he had to do to win, and certainly the Jets did some nice winning this season, but right now I don't know if there's more pressure on the Jets or on the Broncos to figure things out. But if I'm Elway right now, or if I'm McCagnon, I got to pick up the phone now and make the call. You have to make it happen because, again, you don't want to be the one who's left with nothing. Because if you're the Jets and then you don't get Fitzpatrick back, well, then what are you left with? I mean, you still got quarterbacks like Petty and Geno on your roster. But even if with them, and if Kaepernick doesn't work out, again, it is there's too many what ifs here. There is something that can make you consistent, have some stability, and that's just paying what Fitzpatrick wants. And it's one of those things where, look, find the common ground. They said they won't budge, but you've got to just look at it in terms of the market dictates what your value is. It's that way in business. It's that way in life. Sometimes you have to overpay. It's just the way it is. And right now, you need a quarterback. Fitzpatrick is the best one available now that you don't have to try to work out a trade for. I think it's easy. If you're the Broncos or if you're the Jets, you bring him in because you're in win-now scenario. We look at some of the contracts, like the Darrelle Revis ones, like other things. You have to be in that win-now mentality, and clearly Ryan Fitzpatrick is linked to that, but the Broncos have a option in place of Mark Sanchez. Again, I don't think any realistic expectations there for Mark Sanchez, but they have a little bit of a safety net, although that's really not saying much. But the news has hit as of now, Mark Sanchez there with the Broncos, and of course, I'm sure we'll find out in the next couple of days the status of Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's stock has really never been hotter. But until then, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino. And I'll see everybody next time.